The most grand, attractive, and toxic slogan of the 21st century is, "My body, my choice." Imported from the West's ideological orphanage. This theory tells us that humans are free to satisfy their sexual desires with whoever they want, whenever they want, however they want. It is their human right. They claim that adultery, consensual relations, and obscenity physical display are mere social constructs with no impact on health or lineage. Today, I will strangle this lie in the court of science. The modern branch of science called epigenetics has proven that your every action, particularly your sexual behavior, writes a chemical script upon your genes. Adultery, obscenity, and nudity are not just sins that will be punished in the afterlife. They are a biological nuke that burns out your brain's wiring, corrupts your DNA, and renders your future generations born as mental and psychological patients. Why did Islam prohibit even approaching adultery 1400 years ago? The answer is being screened today by cells writhing under a microscope. First, dispel the misconception that sex is merely a physical act. No. It is an immensely complex neurochemical process. When humans form a bond within the lawful, secure circle of marriage, the brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and dopamine, the reward chemical, in a balanced manner. This balance creates tranquility. However, adultery, obscenity, and pornography are based on variety and novelty. Science calls this the Coolidge effect. The brain of the adulterer constantly seeks a new partner or new scene. In this process, such an intense flood of dopamine hits the brain that its receptors result. The human brain becomes numb. It stops finding pleasure in small joys. This is the same mechanism as heroin addiction. Epigenetic effect. This dopamine dysfunction is transmitted to the next generation through genes. Children of adulterous parents are born with an addictive personality. Their calm gene is switched off, and their anxiety gene is switched on. These children suffer from ADHD, depression, and anxiety because their father destroyed his brain's chemical balance and bequeathed them broken wiring. Nudity and obscenity keep a person in a constant state of arousal. When a person is in this state, the front part of their brain, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making, ethics, and logic, temporarily shuts down. The primitive reptilian brain takes over, driven only by animal instinct. In a society where nudity is common, people's prefrontal cortex becomes permanently weakened. They cease to be a thinking nation and become merely mating animals. By commanding, "Lower your gaze," Islam protected your intellect. A fundamental biological difference between humans and animals is pair bonding, the ability to form a couple. Loyalty is coded into human DNA, governed by hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin. The damage of casual sex. When a man or woman has relations with multiple partners, as is common in the West and liberal circles, the oxytocin receptors in their brain become desensitized. In simple terms, just as a piece of tape loses its stickiness from being repeatedly stuck and torn off, an adulterous person loses the ability to love and commit. They become biologically impotent regarding love. Epigenetic ruin. This death of loyalty is recorded in the genes. 2. The offspring of such parents are genetically predisposed to unstable relationships. They cannot trust. By saying "do not even approach adultery," Islam protected your capacity to love, so your lineage would not become psychological patients. Scientists have discovered mirror neurons in the human brain. We unconsciously mimic what we see. When nudity is rampant in society, or when a person watches obscene material, these mirror neurons send the brain the message that woman is merely flesh and man is merely a hunter. Epigenetic effect. This constant visual stimulation creates an unnatural storm of cortisol, stress hormone, and testosterone in the body. This chemical change places bad markers on the DNA of sperm and eggs. The next generation inherits hypersexuality and aggression from such parents. These are the children who commit sexual crimes in schools because their software is corrupt. Liberals ask, what is the importance of lineage? A child is just a child. But science says, microchimerism. When a woman is pregnant, the baby's cells remain in the mother's body forever, and the mother's cells remain in the baby's body. Even a man's DNA can remain preserved in a woman's brain for years. Male P. If a woman has relations with multiple men, adultery, a genetic cocktail of different men's DNA forms in her body. Science is still discovering how this foreign DNA affects the woman's immune system and the psychology of future children. Islam's laws of ideal waiting period and the principle of one woman, one man were designed to prevent this genetic pollution. A child born from adultery, or one raised in an adulterous environment, is biologically confused and spiritually disconnected. Conclusion: Islam as a biological safeguard. Modesty haya. This is not just a veil. It is a neurological shield. It protects your brain from unnecessary arousal, keeping cortisol levels low and your mental health and genes secure. Marriage nikah. This is not just a contract. It is a biological lock. It signals to your brain, the search is over. Now is the time to build. It creates tranquility, the very foundation for healthy genes. Punishment for adultery. Why is it severe in Islam? Because adultery is not a crime like theft. It is generational genocide. An adulterer sows the seed of deviance and mental disorder into the DNA of 7 generations to come. This cancer must be excised. Oh, you humans stricken by modernity. What you perceive as freedom is, in reality, your biological death. When you commit adultery, you do not just break Allah's law, you break the law of your own cells. You smear filth upon your DNA. You gift your future offspring the fire of lust and psychological diseases, instead of light. Epigenetics has proven that obscenity is not an individual's problem. It is a conspiracy to dirty the entire human race's genetic pool. If we do not protect our modesty and our gaze today, we will give birth to a generation that is human in form but beastly in instinct. Islam is not a prison. Islam is the hazmat suit that protects you from the radiation of this toxic world and guarantees the survival of your humanity and your lineage. If this perspective resonated with you, please like, subscribe, share, and comment your thoughts below. Your engagement encourages the creation of more content like this. Thank you for reading. Until next time.